So I want to take us back in time for just a second, and I want us to go back in time to the time of castles, right? And when there were castles, right? If you remember this from when you were a kid and you read books and you saw pictures of castles or cartoons of castles, or even if you've seen actual pictures of old castles drawn or whatever it may be, or reenacted, then what do we know about castles? Castles like to have around them a moat, okay? And this moat, we think of it as, filled with alligators or crocodiles, and you don't want to fall into the moat because then you're not going to make it out of the moat. And so what this moat did is it kept the castle safe, right? It kept the castle from being taken over by some other country or some other province or some other kingdom. It protected that castle. And so when we talk about an economic moat, which is what today's episode is about. When we talk about economic moats, we are talking about some attributes of a company that actually protect that particular company from competitors, right? Because in the same way of having a castle and another kingdom coming along and taking over your castle, there are companies that what they do can be taken over by other companies, right? They can be run out of business by other companies given another company's competitive advantages. But if you have competitive advantages of your own that are going to keep other companies out and are going to be hard for other companies to duplicate, right? That is going to create what we are going to call for the rest of today's episode and moving forward, the wide economic moat. And that is what Warren Buffett had in mind when he coined this phrase, right? A wide economic moat is a type of sustainable competitive advantage possessed by a business that makes it difficult for rivals to wear down its market share. The term economic moat was made popular by investor Warren Buffett and is derived from the water-filled moats that surrounded medieval castles. The wider the moat, the more difficult it would be for an invader to reach the castle. And the more crocodiles you had in the moat and the more dangerous animals and the more things that could keep somebody from getting to the castle and taking over the castle, right? The more somebody had to work to get to that castle, the less likely they were to take it over, right? And so that's the whole point. We want to find companies when we are investing that it's going to take a long time to get to the castle, or it's going to be almost impossible to get to the castle. Because we should think about the castle as the main business practices. What is making us money? What is making investors money? What is making the company money? And if you can think of it in that way, and you can think of what's going to keep competitors from getting to that revenue stream or from taking share away from the company's revenues, and you see that it's going to be almost impossible for that to occur, then that company likely has a wide economic moat. Now, a wide economic moat can be caused by several factors that might make it difficult for other businesses to steal market share. These factors may include high barriers to entry, or the business with the moat might own patents on several products that are essential to providing their particular product or service. So I think about, when I'm thinking about moats, I think about it on a more granular level. I think about Shark Tank, right? Shark Tank, small businesses come in, they're looking for investment from the sharks. And the sharks make a decision as to whether or not they want to invest. Well, something that seems to be very valuable to the sharks, if they like a product or something, right? They seem to put a lot of value on patents. And the reason that they put a lot of value on patents and the ability to not be knocked off is because they know, especially for smaller companies, smaller businesses, that if you have a good idea and it goes to market, it's likely to get knocked off by larger companies, and they will steal market share from you in a very fast, swift way, right? But if you have that patent, if you have that protection, right, if you have some type of moat between you and the large company, then you will be able to sustain your revenues and hopefully sustain some business success, at least in the short run, while you have that patent protection, right? So that is just one example of an economic moat. So when I talk about economic moats, what are some companies that we can think of that have wide economic moats? There are many, but I will just talk about a few. First of all, Amazon, right, could definitely fall into this category. The company currently dominates the e-commerce space, representing nearly 50% of online sales in the U.S., according to some projections. It has unparalleled built-in efficiencies, warehouses, supply chain systems that make it a tough competitor for both online and traditional retailers. And this is no surprise. It's no surprise that it's very difficult to duplicate what Amazon has done, and it's very difficult to steal share from them. If anything, they are stealing share from everybody else instead of other companies stealing share from them, right? So they have this wide economic moat because they have all of this infrastructure, right? They have these warehouses popping up everywhere. They have these specific vans. They don't have to, rely on FedEx or UPS or United States Postal Service to, ship what they have. They do it themselves. They have their own fleet of trucks that goes around and takes packages to where they need to go, right? Amazon is a very dominant company, and they do have a very wide economic moat when it comes to e-commerce and then commerce in general, right? It's not just the online retailers that are getting hurt by Amazon. It is the traditional retailers as well, because they come in a lot of times at a lower cost. And they also come in with better logistics, and they come in with better competitive advantages and advertising than these other companies. Okay, so Amazon is one, and then Walmart is another company often praised for its wide moat. Right? As the largest brick and mortar retailer with a large e-commerce operation as well, it has a big edge in its ability to offer a large number of products at prices that undercut the competition. Right? Always low prices, always, right? And you can only get to those low prices by reaching a certain level of scale that Walmart has actually reached. Right? And if they're able to undercut prices of the competitors, then that's going to push market share towards Walmart, and that's going to be part of their large economic moat. Moreover, because it is a discount retailer, it is in the unique position to see strong sales when the economy is doing well as when people have less money in their pockets. And this is a huge thing, right? It's a huge thing for any company to be able to thrive when the rest of the economy is not thriving. And that's something that Walmart tends to do quite well because they maintain lower prices.